This is Dead Serious, a show about short horror stories worthy of discussion. I'm Dead Palate, the pit in your stomach when you're smartening up. Today we're taking a look at Black-Eyed People. I think we're going to have a good time. Black-eyed people, sometimes called black-eyed children or Beck, are young people, often children, with eyes that are solid black with no differentiation between sclera, pupil, or iris, and are occasionally reported to have blue or bluish-tinted skin like that of a corpse. Those who report encounters with them often feel that the children were somehow supernatural or extremely dangerous, though they cannot explain why. Often they can be seen playing games and singing the nursery song, "Old Man, Long Legs," or "He Jumped Back into a Bramble Bush." Are these like British children's songs or something? I've never heard of these. They're usually near abandoned or deserted areas. Sometimes the reports talk of them appearing at one's doorstep, usually alone or in a pair. Usually alone or in a pair. That's a strange way to phrase things. Sometimes they're alone and sometimes they're not. Usually they're one of these two things. They appear to be unusually confident, yet shy children who avoid your gaze and look down, hiding their eyes, but speaking with an eloquency far beyond their apparent age. So this is purportedly a creepypasta, but it's not exhibiting any of those qualities. So instead of trying to force that grading rubric onto it, let's take this for what it is. It's trying to appear as a conspiracy theory kind of horror story where, there are reports of this and that, but these reports aren't being sourced at all. Well, we were not really getting a good sense of who's talking to us. It's like the beginning of a UFO TV show where they're like telling you like this happened and that happened, and it's like, okay, well, are we going to get to the part where you actually explain these reports and then tell the story in its full context? Because we're not getting that part yet. The image is also extremely generic, and I'm wondering if this is something that people have really purported to see? But let's progress. Often using the mannerisms and speech patterns of an adult, they occasionally even possess the voice of an adult too. They will usually attempt to talk the victim into allowing them entry into their home to use their telephone, or to be safe from some unspecified danger. Occasionally, when seen outside of the home, they will immediately stop there and stare at you or, if possible, approach you asking for a place to stay, or trying to talk you into giving them a ride home. Yeah, I'm just not sure what the story is really trying to accomplish. It's talking about a bunch of different creepy scenarios, but it's not really making me feel like there's some sort of immediate danger to these things. I feel like if this was a first-person narrative, it would be a lot more effective at creeping me out by just telling me of a child, coming up to me when I'm at my car and I'm trying to, it's asking me if I can give it a ride home. Making it a lot more personal would do the story a lot of favors. But continuing, often people will begin to agree to their request against their better judgment, even though the request will seem vaguely unsettling without realizing why it is. You should discover that their eyes are completely black. Should you discover that their eyes are completely black, the children will become very angry and insistent on you complying with their demands. Some people who have encountered Beck feel that the children may have been using some form of low-level mind control to get you to comply. So again, this is all like the UFO alien kind of stuff out there, and I really feel like that is an underutilized kind of horror, because a lot of the people who are interested in that really do believe that stuff, and that's fine, and that's whatever, and that's their stuff. But if you're trying to craft a lie, and this is clearly trying to craft a lie, you've got to do a lot more to get people interested, and you got to do a lot more showing and a lot less telling. This story is entirely telling with zero context no specific details have been given. The only exact detail that we've been given is that some people call these things Becks. But the idea of a low-level mind control, that is interesting, especially it being low-level mind control instead of, you're just going to comply and do whatever. The idea that it's a lot less effective, but it's just this kind of coercion, could be very interesting if you show that rather than tell it. Experiences involving Beck generally do not explain the cause of the children's eye color or the origin of the children themselves. Sometimes, though, to be as spirits of the lost or murdered children. Sometimes they are thought to be the spirits of lost or murdered children. The Beck are thought to be the harbingers of ill will and personal doom. Harbingers of ill will. I don't think this person understands what the term ill will means. Like, you have ill will towards someone. Like, obviously the Beck are not nice, so they would have ill will towards everyone. I don't, that's a little foggy, the writing there. The encounters frequently emphasize that the children must be voluntarily admitted or invited into the house or the car in question. Okay, so that's like the old vampire thing that they can't come in unless they're invited. And in this way are reminiscent of some vampire legends. Well, I should have read ahead, shouldn't I? However, it is unspecified what happens should you comply to their demands, as no reports of the Beck have included that happening, possibly indicating the death of those that have complied, or there's the distinct possibility that they don't have mind control. So that was a pretty nothing story, but I think that the lessons we can get out of it are pretty clear. This story does absolutely no showing, and because of its format it can't, but it also doesn't give us any details, so the journalistic aspect of the story that could possibly be there, and I know that that's something that I personally really like, that really can't flourish. So you have to ask yourself, what is this story really trying to accomplish? I'm not entirely sure. The only thing I can really glean out of it is that we're supposed to get these paranormal, ooey, weird vibes out of the children, but all I have to go on are these really lackluster pictures that the Creepypasta wiki is providing me. I think the author of this is really hoping that the visual of children with black eyes is enough to carry the story, but it's not enough to carry the story. If I were to compare this to anything, you could kind of compare it to the Huntsville camping trip near the end, but even then, that story, which I think fails, was taking a lot more risk and really trying to build a narrative there. This comes off just so incredibly flat. Let me know what you think in the comments. Oh, but we do have a sponsor today. Our sponsor today was the Transcontinental Railroad. The Transcontinental Railroad. Don't forget America had Chinese slaves too.